as we head down to the 210 San Antonio, we are going to one of the more non New Year's Six anticipated bowl games that's been out there. Two electric offenses as we see Washington versus Texas, 9 o'clock p.m. on ESPN. Again, this one is in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. And man, let's start on the Texas side, starting to rack up maybe the frequent flyer miles on I-35 heading
That's
down
a
there.
good
They've been in the Alamo Bowl a couple of times the last few years. Not a bad bowl game by any stretch. Just interesting that they keep getting pitted in this one. It maybe wasn't the season that Texas fans were wanting. They almost upset Alabama, and they think here we are off to the races. A little bit of faltering here and there, some inconsistencies. They do beat the rival Oklahoma by a massive margin. And I think a lot of Texas fans have to be happy with the improvement that they had from year one to year two. Obviously, no massive losing streaks for Texas. Getting to kind of get back up on the horse and start to build a little bit under Sark. I think this is a big step in the right direction for them. Washington, Sark's former team, obviously emerged in kind of a pleasant surprise situation for them. Under Kalen DeBoer, this is year one for him, and man, what a year one it was for him. A lot of talk about year ones in the Pac-12, but maybe a little overlooked is Kalen DeBoer and his Husky squad. The 10-win debut, only missing out on the Pac-12 championship because of a tiebreaker situation, which I still don't know why they do that. I'm going to have to, maybe put in a phone call to those Pac-12 offices and figure out why they chose to go that direction. Doesn't matter too much. Resounding success for Washington this year. The quarterback battle is going to be an interesting one in this. Quinn Ewers going up against Michael Penix Jr. Going to be fascinating to kind of watch, kind of Quinn Ewers being the young guy looking to kind of finish on a positive note with some inconsistency this year. Penix Jr. going into next year, hoping to maybe cement himself as a top guy on some teams' draft boards as he goes into his final season as a college quarterback. Neither defense is bad, but they've both shown that they've been able to be exploited at times, setting the stage for probably some scoring and some real excitement here. Trey, how do we think this one ends up rolling for both of these teams?
I think if you're Washington, the key to you winning this one is just making Quinn Ewers uncomfortable. We've seen a lot of good Quinn this year. He's definitely shown flashes of why he was rated so highly in the recruiting rankings, why Texas was so excited to get him in the transfer portal from Ohio State. But we've also seen times, and it's usually been when defenses have been able to pressure him, that he really is forced into mistakes. So that's what you got to do if you're Washington. You got to rely on your defense to really force Quinn into mistakes. The blueprint's been given to you by Oklahoma State, TCU, and Baylor, right? Baylor was able to sack him 5 times. I know Quinn won that game, and that has to be really encouraging for Texas fans, but even in that, really, that was the running game that won that one for Texas. They kind of took the ball out of Quinn's hands. They realized that he was getting pressured and sacked and didn't want him to make mistakes. So they kind of took the ball out of his hands down the stretch in that one. But TCU and Oklahoma State, that directly led to victories for those two teams against the Texas Longhorns, forcing the young quarterback to make mistakes. And look, this is not a knock on Quinn Ewers. Texas fans don't hear this as, the sky is falling for your program if Quinn can't pull this one out. But he's just still growing. He's adjusting to the speed of the college game. It's much, much different when you're in that, facing that on the field versus just watching it on the sidelines. So for Washington, they're not going to wow you with their stats on defense in most categories. They're 55th in total defense. They're 91st in pass defense, but the all important pressure rate, they're very, very high. They're ranked tied for 18th in the country in sacks generated. They have a lot of tackles for loss. So if they can keep Texas behind the chains, if they can make Quinn uncomfortable, I think they're going to see a lot of success in this one. For Texas, it's really if you can find an offense without Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson. We know those two names. If you follow college football, you know that that's one of the best backfield tandems in the country this year. And look, they've earned their praise. They've earned their draft status from every corner of the college football world. But when you really dig into the stats, it's just incredible how much those two guys have meant to this team. Obviously, they're going to have a lot of the rushing statistics. Those two combined for 89% of the rushing stats. When you add in Hudson Card, the backup quarterback who transferred, it gets closer to 95% of the rushing stats that just won't be available in this game. But when you add in receiving numbers and look at the offense as a whole, Bijan and Roshan literally half of the offensive production by themselves this year when you look at rushing yards and receiving yards. So someone like Kalen Robinson, someone like Jaden Blue, gonna have to step up to give the Texas offense another option. I don't know that Quinn's ready, especially with the pass rush that he's gonna face this week, to really put this game on his shoulders. They have to establish a run. They have to keep Washington honest so they can't just, sit back and pick Texas apart with their pass defense and dedicate more guys to coverage. If they can find consistency on the ground game, I think Texas can put up a lot of points in this one. If they can, it might be a long night for the Longhorns offense.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I mean, both offenses, I think we can expect a lot from. But Trey, who do we think ends up winning this game?
I think I'm more confident just because, if obviously Bijan or even Roshan Johnson, I think if Roshan Johnson was playing in this game, I think I would pick Texas because I think he can shoulder load with both of those guys out. I think Washington has more proven playmakers on the field on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go with Washington in a really close, fun back and forth battle. Give me Washington 38-31.
Yeah, I definitely do think this one's going to be close, and I do think you can trust Washington more. But man, I just think that there's something about Texas that ends up making them win this game. I don't know what it is. I think they've gotten up for some big bowl games in the past. They've gotten up on on some better teams, definitely better on paper teams, but just something happens and they come out on fire. I don't know what it is. I mean, they obviously will be playing just a couple miles down the road in San Antonio, so they can get plenty of fans there. Should be a pretty fun environment. I think Texas pulls this one out. I don't have a lot of reason why there. And I do think that probably, Penix being reliable is the guy, but man, this just kind of feels like a Quinn Ewers coming out party. It always seems like Texas quarterbacks seem to have that coming out party in these bowl games. So I'm going to have Quinn Ewers on a big night. I think he's got plenty of talent. He put something together in some bowl game prep. Give me 41-38 Texas in
Woo.
this one.
Barn burner.
Oh, yeah.
Gracious. Yep.